Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. JTA Restive after yet another school term has ended with no resolution on wage negotiations. Portmore Mayor blasts National Solid Waste Management Authority for non-collection of garbage. And later in sports, team named for NACAC Senior Championship set for August. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kerry and Simpson. Here are the details. The Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, says its members are restive as yet another school term has ended without a resolution to salary and benefits negotiations. Speaking on the morning agenda on Power 106 Thursday, JTA President Dr. Mark Smith said the relevant stakeholders must swiftly move to address the friction regarding compensation issues, especially matters relating to salaries and pensions.
Reform is something that we look at. As a country, I think we have a moral obligation to our pensioners, those individuals, not only in education, but in other areas of government service that have given their lives in service to the nation, and at their most vulnerable point in their life, one of the most vulnerable points in their life, they are left sometimes just living hand to mouth.
While noting that the government has made reforms to the Pension Act that benefits educators, the JTA president said there are several elderly persons, or rather elderly teachers, who are struggling after they exit the profession. Dr. Mark Smith laments that the ongoing pension grouses continue to taint the appeal of the profession.
Looking at teaching and saying, listen, I don't see this as a profession. First of all, you take a pay penalty to get into the profession, to serve the country. And that really tells me that we're not understanding that solving teacher shortages really depend on coming up or coming together around shared aspirations for children. We have to understand that children are the future, and we have to invest in the individuals that we're hoping that would be able to support them. And so when young people look at teaching and they hear the stories and see pensioners or teachers struggling in their retirement age, it is not something that's going to inspire them.
Teachers at St. Catherine High School are angry this afternoon. This as the school continues to struggle to pay them. Antonia Atkinson has the details.
No payment, no proper communication. That's what teachers at Cumberland High School in Portmore say they are experiencing. They're calling on the leadership of the Jamaica Teachers Association to intervene. One teacher said she's still owed back pay, dating as far as back as 2023. She explained that she started as a diploma-trained teacher and has since earned her degree. However, the necessary salary adjustments have not been made.
Because I am so tired of the way I have been treated. It's not the first time that, I would have been in a situation where she would have been made payments and I would need to have been back and forth with her. This is actually my second time going to her where financial issues are concerned. As a matter of fact, she is still owing me for CSEC would have sent money for me marking the CSEC SBAs, and I have not received payment from 2023 marking or 2024 marking.
Another teacher shared that while she was on leave, she noticed an unexpected change in her salary. As a result, her mortgage was left in arrears.
NHT wrote to the school saying that the insurance on my mortgage was increased to $1,000. So instead of the bursary adding $1,000 to the total that they were already sending, they deducted $7,000 and was giving me back that $7,000 on my salary. And now my mortgage is in arrears and the bursary refuses to take responsibility.
When contacted, the school's principal, Carlin Pitt, said he was aware of the ongoing issues, which he insists precedes him. He confirmed that although some payments were processed in the last payroll cycle, several teachers are still owed. The school has since written the Ministry of Education for help. Antonia Atkinson, TVJ News.
Still in education, to the story now of a Manchester-based high school that is now breathing a sigh of relief after the education minister announced plans to build additional classrooms and science labs. But as Krista Campbell reports, the improvements have been over a decade in coming.
From insufficient classrooms to inadequate desks and chairs for students, the principal of Alphonsus Davis High School on the Clarendon-Manchester border says he's been lobbying 4 education ministers over 14 years for assistance. At last week's graduation ceremony, with the current education minister, Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, as guest speaker, Principal George Henry made another appeal.
The current school boasts a 1998 Toyota Coaster, almost 25 years old, has long outlived its useful purpose. And breakdown after breakdown after breakdown after breakdown has resulted in us having to spend multiples of hundreds of thousands of dollars to charter and to repair the bus.
Now, as far as classroom furniture go, Mr. Henry notes the school has been trying to help itself.
Our school's furniture project, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, has so far seen our Industrial Arts Department producing 850 desks and chairs, which have been distributed by the ministry across the island. Our latest delivery of 250 desks and chairs was made recently, 2 weeks ago.
However, he stressed it's been a rough road trying to make do.
The shortage has forced us to ask different grades to remain at home whenever we have large external examinations.
After a 14-year wait, the education minister announced a reprieve.
We're looking at a physics lab, a biology lab, a chemistry lab, an integrated science lab, an auto mechanic lab, 5 classrooms, a library, and of course, most important, staff accommodation and restrooms for the students and the staff too.
Krista Campbell, TVJ News.
CARICOM Chairman Dr. Andrew Holness says he's anticipating that the International Court of Justice will acknowledge the disproportionate impact of climate change on small island developing states. The court is set to deliver its advisory opinion on July 23. Details in this report.
The Caribbean, though responsible for 1% of global greenhouse gas emissions, has been on the front line of rising sea levels, stronger hurricanes, and worsening droughts.
And right now it is like Russian roulette. We don't know who will be hit. And who will be hit can be hit devastatedly, which would take years of recovery, or the extent of the damage can be such a high percentage of the overall GDP that those countries are set back.
In a matter of weeks, the International Court of Justice is set to issue its advisory opinion on the legal consequences of climate change. And so, we asked CARICOM Chairman Dr. Andrew Holness about his expectations.
I would be surprised if the pronouncement were not that there is an impact on, in particular, lesser developed countries from climate change, and in particular, small island developing states, and that there should be special provisions in financing made to ensure that there is climate justice in this regard. That would be my expectation, not my pronouncement on what the court may say.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister of St. Kitts and Nevis, Dr. Terence Drew, while outlining the impact on health, food security and tourism, says he's hopeful the court will deliver a favorable outcome. However,
if for any reason the outcome that we hope to get is not had, that will not daunt us in any way. We will continue to be on the front line of this advocacy and to seek justice. And I ask the Caribbean press, you all are all here, you live in the Caribbean, you suffer from the scourge of climate change. We want you also to join us to make a strong case for the Caribbean, SIDS and other countries that are disproportionately affected by climate change.
CARICOM nations have committed to major climate adaptation efforts, shifting to renewables and strengthening disaster response. But leaders remain concerned that major polluters continue to escape accountability. Anthony Lugg, TVJ News.
No garbage collected in more than 2 weeks. Words from Mayor of Portmore, Leon Thomas, as he says the lack of garbage collection in Greater Portmore is beyond disappointing. This comes amid the recent garbage collection issues in Linstead St. Catherine over the weekend, a situation that has since been rectified. The mayor is now calling for the same urgency to be applied to Greater Portmore and is now demanding immediate action.
With the heavy wind, it's all over the place into some of our drains that are there. I am wondering, sir, if there is a problem with the garbage trucks that's supposed to go to that area to do collection.
In the meantime, Public Cleansing Manager for St. Catherine, Andrew Gooden, says an additional 15 units have been provided to help clear the backlog in communities.
Try to bring all communities back and schedule in a 2-week period. We are working as seriously to do the same. We have also engaged an additional 15 units outside of what was procured for the period to assist us to remove the same backlog.
Transport Minister Darrell Vaz has announced that plans are in motion to construct a new transportation centre in Christiana, Manchester. Under the project, existing facilities will be upgraded. Shamila Pullen reports.
Big changes are on the horizon for commuters and residents in Christiana, Manchester. Transport Minister Darrell Vaz has announced the construction of a brand new transportation centre in the busy northeast Manchester town. He toured the area with Audrey Marks, the Jamaica Labour Party candidate for Manchester North East, on Wednesday. The transport centre will be built on lands adjacent to the Christiana bypass, property currently owned by the municipal corporation. According to Minister Vaz, the corporation had already submitted a proposal to the Ministry of Local Government, highlighting the urgent need to upgrade the aging transport hub and improve public amenities.
So I have requested the municipal corporation to send me a copy of it to the Transport Ministry so we can see how we can collaborate to make this a reality. The fact of the matter is that joining it and expanding it to meet the bypass will do a world of difference for the congestion and for the transport operators to be able to access and egress in a much more comfortable situation. So this is something that is a priority.
The minister revealed that efforts are being made to acquire additional lands nearby, including a privately owned parcel to allow for a more spacious and modern facility.
Therefore, it has to be done in the right and proper way. What exists here now, I couldn't put his name on this. It will have to be upgraded and facilities there to recognize his service and give the people that better facility to operate out of. So this is something that I'm going to be working on, and I will have discussions with Minister Mackenzie in due course as soon as I'm brought up to speed in terms of what was the actual plan submitted by the municipal corporation and what are the issues in terms of funding constraints, etc.
In a fitting tribute, the upgraded centre will be named after outgoing Member of Parliament Audley Shaw, who has represented the constituency for decades and is widely respected for his service. Audrey Marks is now hoping to take over the reins in Manchester North East, says she's fully committed to seeing the project through.
I'm so pleased about the welcome that I've received and the enthusiasm from the constituents of Northeast Manchester. There is certainly, as the minister said, a momentum, and this is my desire to really represent the constituents here. They have, high hopes, and I aim to deliver.
Shamila Pullen, TVJ News.
And it's time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. It's now time for the Business Minute.
Tropical Battery's additional offer of shares, which was extended twice, was closed on July 4. The company was seeking to raise a maximum $2.1 billion, of which $1.5 billion would go towards repaying a bridging loan obtained from CIBC First Caribbean. $300 million will be used to settle a maturing bond, while the remainder will be used as working capital. Cygnus Capital was the lead arranger for the offer, while JMMB Investments was the selling agent. Further afield, imports from Brazil and 7 other countries could face double-digit tariffs August 1st, according to President Donald Trump. He's threatening to force American businesses to pay a 50% duty on goods they import from Brazil. He calls the trial of former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro a, quote, witch hunt that should end immediately. Brazil's sitting president says his country is a sovereign nation that won't bow to Trump's demand. Trump says he has also informed Algeria, Iraq, Libya, Moldova, Sri Lanka, Brunei and the Philippines of upcoming 20 to 30% flat tariffs on their products. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Hal Shane Burke.
Thanks, Al Shane. Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, founding chairman of Crime Stoppers International for the Caribbean, Martin Anthony George, has been granted 150,000 TT bail after appearing in court on sexual assault charges. The 58-year-old attorney is accused of assaulting a young female lawyer at his Port of Spain office on March 22. He was ordered to stay 500 meters away from the victim and have no contact. The case returns to court on October 7. On the international scene, Houthi rebels attacked and sank the cargo ship Eternity Sea in the Red Sea, killing some crew members and kidnapping others, according to the U.S. Embassy in Yemen. The ship was hit by rocket-propelled grenades and targeted over several days. The EU naval forces rescued 6 survivors, while the Houthis claimed they also rescued and detained some crew. This marks the second ship sunk by the group this week, as they continue attacks on vessels they say are linked to Israel in protest of Israel's military campaign in Gaza. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Antonia Atkinson.
Thanks, Antonio. We now head to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have your midday sports report.